Hello, I'm Michael Berkman, Director of the McCourtney Institute for Democracy.
And I'm Chris Beam, Managing Director of the McCourtney Institute. So we spent some time talking about the transition. One thing we did not talk about, which is clearly at issue now and which is getting a lot of attention, is Donald Trump's efforts to engage and involve his family in this transition process and in what appears to be the daily operation of the White House going forward.
Right. I think you're seeing a real tension develop. I mean, think back to even when Donald Trump was a kid. You know, he was in the family business. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump is used to working in the family business and having the family work with him.
Mm-hmm. It's people he trusts.
It's people he trusts, people that are loyal to him. It's the way he grew up.
Yeah.
But that really runs counter with government ethics requirements, with disclosure requirements in the federal government, with the meritocracy expectations of the federal government. And so there's a tension. And, you know, you kind of see, at least in the reports we're getting, that he's trying to figure out how to deal with this, and it's frustrating for him.
It's not what he wants or expected or, anticipated.
Well, he should have, because it kept coming up during the campaign, and he effectively stonewalled on it. It came up in terms of his tax returns and his unwillingness to release them. It came up we knew how closely his family was involved in the campaign, even though they didn't necessarily have official titles.
Right.
We knew it when he was specifically asked about blind trusts during the campaign, and he gave an answer which kind of suggested that he didn't really know what a blind trust was.
Or that he had no intention of making it blind.
No intention of creating one. And some of what we're seeing is just unprecedented, I think, in the modern era. So you've got, for example, they are insisting that the children will maintain the family business.
Right.
And so there are conflict of interest issues that come up with that, since this is a worldwide organization.
Right.
But that would also suggest that they'll stay out of governing. Yet yesterday he met with the Prime Minister of Japan, and his daughter Ivanka was in the room. And there's all this talk about what role Jared Kushner should play.
Ivanka's husband,
right?
Yeah, son-in-law.
Yeah.
Well, it's clear that when Trump met with Obama, that Obama made this issue very clear and said that his one piece of advice was to have good lawyers, right?
And it has really struck me that we've yet to see these lawyers. You would think that a developing administration with these issues obviously coming up would put their lawyers out there to answer questions from the press, to explain how they believe they have the legal standing to take the actions that they're considering, to explain what's going to go on with the family business, but they haven't done that. Or
even to know that there are lawyers who are familiar with these laws going into Trump Tower. It doesn't seem like that has been everybody's going into Trump Tower. This skateboarder went in and said that the idea is to build skate parks around the world. But apparently there's not a lot of lawyers.
So it seems that way.
Yeah.
And
at least so far.
And I think you have to be careful about leaks and what kind of information is coming out, because there's really not a particularly steady stream of official information coming out of this transition. But they seem to be trying to find ways to allow Kushner to be in the White House, but nepotism laws set up after Bobby Kennedy's appointment of attorney generals
in the 60s. So this has been around for a long time.
For a long time, pretty clearly forbid this. Right. And I believe even Jimmy Carter's daughter couldn't get an internship. It's just you just can't do that. And they're talking about ideas like having him not be paid. Well, so that means only wealthy enough relatives are able to. But
I mean, I don't know if that's going to get around the law regardless. But this is yet another source of tension, a source of confusion. Not so much within the Trump transition team. We can't know what's going on there.
Right.
But in terms of how the D.C. establishment and how the rest of the country understands what's going on and what issues they see to be most prescient, and we just don't know really at this point.
Yeah, and you might have thought that one of his, and it still could be because he's made no official announcements about his cabinet, but you might have thought that one of his first cabinet announcements was going to be somebody from outside his inner circle to show his willingness. And we have heard reports today that he's meeting with Mitt Romney over the weekend. But so far, everything...
For Secretary of State, ostensibly.
Well, or at least to meet with him.
Right.
At least to meet with him. But so far, it's been mostly the campaign inner circle, at least in terms of names that have been floated and that seem to have his ear right
We don't
now.
have a lot of time, but I do want to just mention this, just how dramatic this Mitt Romney meeting is. This is a man who, stood up early in the primaries, not in the general, in the primaries, and said, Donald Trump is a menace. He doesn't represent Republican values. He should not be president. And now this same man is meeting with Donald Trump as part of his transition team process.
This is also as candidate who said that he thought the biggest emerging foreign policy problem was Russia.
That's right.
And
that's clearly...
clearly this, developing administration has very different views on Russia. That, to me, is why I can't really get my head around the idea of him as Secretary of State. Who knows? I mean, it'd be a brilliant move in some ways.
In some ways, and it would alleviate a lot of the concerns that a lot of folks have.
Especially around the world.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we will be back with more, and we hope to include some other voices in these interviews going forward. So, thanks for watching.